TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. This is January 10th, 2025. It's a new year, Kenny, on the board.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and it is another beautiful day right here in the heart of the world's largest borderplex. We're at the KELP studio, and we somehow, Kenny, on the board, by the grace of God, we made it through Snowmageddon. I don't know how we survived, Kenny, on the board, but we're alive for another day. We thank the Lord for that.
Man, you'd never survive in New York.
Yeah, well, I lived in Siberia for quite a few years, so
then you know.
So braving the El Paso snow blizzard was a little bit amusing for me, quite honestly. But I am glad that the Lord kept us safe. We're here. It's a new year. Last week we weren't live, but today we are live. And we have some very special guests. Do you know why they're special, Kenny, on the board?
You say it so much better.
I do, Kenny, on the board.
I can pull up the recording and play it.
No, they are the unique expressions of an endlessly creative God. But also we're going to be talking about something that is interesting. Kenny, on the board, do you know what the word Montessori means?
Montessori?
Yes.
Was that a type of dinosaur?
No, Kenny, on the board. So you have a lot to learn. We're going to be learning. We're going to be learning about Montessori education. By the way, we are on 1590 AM, 95.9 FM in El Paso, and then reaching all the way up to Las Cruces on 89.3 FM. Actually, joking aside, I was driving through that snowstorm north of Las Cruces just a couple days ago. It was exciting, and what was exciting to me was not the fact that I was wondering if I was going to make it home or spend the night in a Motel 6. But 89.3, it reaches all the way up to Hatch, Kenny, on the board.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, our voices are going from
Nice.
Fabens to Hatch right now.
Well, they can also live stream it on our website.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, KELPradio.com.
KELPradio.com.
They can get it anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere they have an internet connection.
That's right.
That's right. Okay, so we've made it into the new year. We have a lot to talk about our Borderland community over this next year. We have a lot of interesting guests coming in these next months, but I'm excited about our conversation today. So we have a couple here today, Kenny, on the board.
We have a couple couples.
Yeah.
We're kind of packed.
No, just one couple. One couple. Yes.
Well, I mean couples of groups of people.
Is this the first time we've ever had a couple?
I think it is.
Yeah,
well, I mean, we did have the two gangsters, but they weren't a couple.
No. Kenny on the board. Come on. No. Yes, this is the first couple. And they're a part of Escuela Montessori de Valle. Do you understand?
Say so.
No, come on, Kitty. How long have you lived in El Paso?
Over 10 years.
Okay, so you should know what this means. Escuela. What does that
That's
mean?
School.
Okay, thank you. You can hit the applause for yourself.
That's okay.
Okay, all right. De Valle. It's of the Valley. Okay.
Okay.
The Montessori School of the Valley. They're celebrating 50 years. It's the first Montessori school in El Paso. And so, without further ado, let's give, wherever you are, unless you're driving, don't put your hands together. Keep those hands on 10 and 2. But wherever you are, you might be in Old Mesilla, about to enjoy dinner at La Posta. Mm-hmm. You might be driving up 54, hitting a Oro Grande, about to stop for gasoline. But wherever you are, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to the one, the only, Mr. and Mrs. Steve and Jackie Filley! Steve and Jackie, welcome to 915 Talk.
Thank you.
Thank
that was
you.
an introduction.
Yeah, well, we need to celebrate each other, Jackie.
Yes.
We don't do enough of that. We need to smile. We need to enjoy ourselves.
I feel like John Cena.
Like who?
John Cena.
That's funny. So before we went on the air, Jackie said that she's really, really nervous. Why are you nervous, Jackie? Tell me about it. What's going on?
I just do not like to be in front of things. I am a behind-the-scenes girl.
Well, we're on the radio.
Yeah.
People can't see you.
True.
We can't see them. We're just having a conversation here.
Okay.
We're going to do all right.
As I inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale.
It's just us three and a few thousand people listening.
Exactly.
It's all good. So you all are a part of the Montessori. This Montessori. There's 2 Montessori schools, from what I understand. Mm-hmm. I do want to get into that, but before we get into Montessori education, Steve, you're originally from El Paso.
I'm originally from El Paso. I was not born here, but I was pretty much raised my entire life here. Left for the military.
Okay.
And then and went to Texas Tech, and then came back to El Paso. After my time in the military.
That's always interesting to me, because I think a lot of young people in El Paso, unfortunately, probably, I think it's unfortunate, are looking at how to get out of El Paso. Mm-hmm. You left for a while. You went to the military. You were received your college education. What was the draw to bring you back?
Well, basically the family business.
Okay.
We came back I came back to the family business. Life happens.
Right.
You have children. It goes on. Wind up meeting Jackie a couple, 10 years later, 10 years maybe, 10 years later online. Our parents were both looking at us like, oh my gosh, you met somebody online. That was back at the beginning of the eHarmony or the online dating. But
the online, they actually sent you correspondence mail, or
Yeah.
Exactly.
Snail mail.
Snail mail. and then so we met, and now we're working on 19 years, almost 20 years that we've been together doing this.
Okay. So you've been together. You're also working on this school together.
Exactly.
And you're saying it's this school that brought you back to El Paso.
It is definitely the school that brought us back. My mom started the school in 1974.
Okay.
This is now our 50th school year.
Wow.
She actually started it in March of 74. So this March we'll have almost completed the 50th school year.
Wow, 50 years. That's a good run.
It's been a good run, and it's really something that just is pretty impressive. That 50 years ago, my mom started a business. I think she had 15 children her first year.
Okay.
All Upper Valley families.
Okay. High end. I like it.
Lots of old Valley
Back then,
names.
Still now, yes. Yep.
And she's kept it going. Good times, bad times,
Right.
Economies, wars.
Gotcha.
All those kind of things. It's stayed the course for 50 years.
Okay, so I definitely want to dive deeper into that. But as someone who's from El Paso, what is one thing that people from outside of El Paso do not understand about our borderland community? It doesn't have to be the most important thing, just one thing. It doesn't have to be super profound.
They don't understand Chico's Tacos.
Oh, he said Chico's Tacos. So do you understand Chico's Tacos?
I totally understand Chico's Tacos. I took my my youngest son. He was his first time visit when we went to Chico's Tacos was 15 years ago.
Okay.
So, yeah, I understand it, but I think that the bigger thing is that how family oriented El Paso is. All kidding aside about Chico's Tacos, you go, you like we talked about, you leave El Paso, and then it winds up bringing you back.
Yeah, and other cities don't have that Chico's Tacos.
And they don't have Chico's
Yeah.
Tacos. They try, but they don't have it.
They try. I don't know who's trying, but it could be. So I love that it's family oriented and the food, and we often bring up Chico's Tacos on 915 Talk.
Really?
Yeah. It's almost like you've been studying for this interview. That's right. And you're like, let's talk about Chico's Tacos. You should have seen Kenny on the board. His eyes just got really big, really big. So like that giant bowl of cheese or whatever it is. They were almost that big. So Jackie, you're not from El Paso originally.
No,
you're a
not
Texas
originally.
girl.
I am Texas. Yep.
Okay.
But I was San Antonio.
San Antonio, I've heard of that.
Yep. Outside, my dad was military, so we were stationed at Randolph.
Okay.
And then I grew up born and raised in San Antonio. Did a little 3 years in Virginia when my dad was transferred up to Langley.
We don't talk about those years.
No. Getting back to Texas was great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. So you came to El Paso for love.
Love. Love
and Chico's
craziness.
tacos.
Not so much Chico's tacos.
Not so much.
Not so much Chico's tacos.
Actually, our first date when we dated long distance for 10 months or
About
a year.
About a year.
We dated long distance for about a year. We met on eHarmony, and so we did all that old school eHarmony stuff. Our parents thought we were both crazy.
Okay.
But the first place, so one of the big conversations that we would have is, where's the better Mexican food? Is it El Paso? Is it San Antonio Tex-Mex? That's a huge debate in our
We're
house.
about to have a face-off.
We are.
Right
Bring
here
it
on
on.
915 Talk.
Bring it on.
So Jackie, tell me about San Antonio food.
San Antonio food, it is Tex-Mex. I would agree, but it's just good. I like Chuy's. Chuy's is a great representation of San Antonio food.
Okay.
It has its little small mom and pops, of course, but here it's just different. Like we would fight over if it was either a breakfast burrito or a breakfast taco.
Huh.
That's just something very different. So Steve was on a mission.
So we
prove.
recently had Living Hope Christian Counseling here.
Yes.
And I feel they could help you through this
They could
conversation.
help us
What
through
is a
that.
breakfast burrito? So tell me, Jackie, what is a breakfast burrito?
A breakfast burrito doesn't exist. A breakfast taco is what you eat for breakfast. Like
Okay.
that is that you have a
breakfast
breakfast
taco.
taco. It's a flour tortilla.
Yeah.
It's just it's Steve's version of a breakfast burrito, which like I said doesn't
so
exist.
Steve say I hear you
Yeah,
and
and.
okay. Yeah.
I hear you, but I disagree. I totally disagree. And actually, our first date when Jackie came to El Paso, we went just right down the street to Julio's, just down the original Julio's, just down the street.
Okay.
We were having a good time, good date. It was
Until
good.
the food came out.
It was good food. No, until the beans
Until
came
the
out.
beans, like the chato beans or the baracho beans.
Yeah.
So Steve, it was good. We were loving it.
I like Julio's.
Yeah, I like Julio's.
But it's
Enchiladas
just the
were
beans,
great.
the beans.
Well, the beans came out. We had
The beans were good.
Wonderful conversation. Great. There was a margarita involved. It was awesome. Enchiladas were amazing. I go to eat my beans and I'm taking my spoon up, and there is a hot dog in my beans. Yeah, no, we don't do hot dogs in our beans. So I was mortified and pushed the beans back and said, nope, not sure. I'm doubting my whole life now with if this is going to work.
It was the only Pastor Terry Gray who introduced me to Julio's just quite recently. I enjoyed it very much. But Jackie, let me ask you this: as someone from San Antonio,
Yes.
what was your impression of El Paso before you came, and what changed, if anything,
So
after moving here?
when we were matched, I had to look up El Paso. I am embarrassed to say I did not know where El Paso was.
Okay, hold
in
on.
Texas.
Is San Antonio is not considered West Texas, right?
No, it's kind of central.
Because I recently went to
central.
Abilene.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a 6.5 hour drive, and you get there, and they're like, "We're the capital of West Texas."
Yeah.
And I've been driving east for 6.5 hours.
exactly.
So
Right.
San Antonio's not west.
I wouldn't consider
and it
it,
is
no.
and it is Texas.
It's Texas,
and,
but
and El Paso. Wow, this
El
is
Paso's very close to New Mexico, and so I mean, we're the only big city that's on Mountain Standard Time. I mean, we're not even on Central.
I like that you're
Yeah.
saying we, so you now identify as an El Paso.
So I looked it up, and I'm going to be honest. About 20 years ago, the pictures were not really great. Let me tell you, it was not nice on Google. And
what about El Paso at night? Those pictures are always
the
great.
El Paso at night was
Right.
beautiful, and Steve was very smart. So when I came in the first time to see El Paso, he took me to his mom and dad's house, which is in the valley.
Okay.
Which is by the river.
Right.
Which was in the summer, and
Yes.
there was irrigation,
Yeah.
and there were fruit trees.
Right.
It was nothing like I imagined.
It was much better
It
than the
was
pictures on the
much,
internet.
Much better than the pictures.
I like that.
And then the people, like Steve said, the people were sweet and kind. And I think it helps, of course, that Steve grew up here. So in having the business, there was a lot of there was just a lot of really nice people. I will say, though, I did go back home a lot for dentist appointments and doctor's appointments.
There are dentists in El Paso.
I just wasn't there yet. Like I hadn't
Okay.
fully committed.
Okay. But now you're all in?
Yeah,
All in.
yeah.
Okay.
If the only thing that draws me back, of course, is our boys to other cities in Texas and HEB.
Yeah.
If we could get an HEB here,
HEB. That is a grocery outlet.
It is it is the best grocery outlet.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but no, just
Well, we have Food King. I like Food King.
Food King is good.
Yeah, and we
Not
have
HEB.
okay,
Not
gotcha.
HEB, but
All right.
it's good.
I spend a lot of time at Food King. It's just on the street. It's great.
I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Yeah.
that
All
you're
right.
a lot.
There's a lot to unpack here, but
Yes.
I think we should talk about Montessori
Okay.
a little bit. That's probably really why we're here. So, what I like to do in this part of the program is when I have a guest and they have something that they are an expert in, I like to give my wild guess about what that thing is, and then you correct whether I'm right or wrong. Okay. So Montessori. So I grew up in Ohio. I saw there were Montessori schools. I saw that name everywhere. I assumed it was like some organization or I don't know, some like special religious or I don't know, Montessori. Because I was Protestant, so I didn't know anything about it. I assumed it was probably Catholic. I didn't know. And then I learned a little bit more, and my impression now is, so I picture a child outside in a playground, and there's a tree growing there by the playground, and they see a leaf on the tree, and they become really interested in that leaf. So they go to the teacher, and they're like, "Where's that leaf come from?" And then next scene, got it? That child becomes a biologist. How's that?
That's
I
pretty.
think that's
I'm
pretty
impressed,
good.
actually.
I did pretty good, Kitty, on the board.
Yep.
And then that child, I don't know, becomes a doctor, right, Kitty, on the board? Then, I don't know, we go a long way from this leaf.
Go as far as you want to go with it.
So they're saying I'm doing pretty good, so I better stop. So tell me, you say I did pretty good, so tell me why I did pretty good.
So what Montessori is, and I am not a Montessori teacher, but I have been around the Montessori philosophy my whole life. The biggest thing that what Montessori is, and Montessori is actually a person. It's named after Dr. Maria Montessori, who was the first medical doctor in Italy, the first female medical doctor in Italy.
I was actually going to make a joke about Italians, and it's actually true.
That is true.
Tina, the office manager, would not appreciate that. She's Italian, but she's from New Jersey. So anyway, go ahead.
So
Dr. Maria Montessori.
Dr. Maria Montessori. She's actually a psychiatrist.
Okay. She's not still alive.
She is not still alive,
Okay,
but
okay.
she founded the whole movement. Her son actually really grew it as well. But basically, what she is trying to do is that the way we teach children is completely wrong. That they experience things like you said, the leaf that fell from the tree. The life for the children is all about experiencing their environment, is experimenting with what they do, using their hands, not so much sitting in a desk and being lectured.
Okay.
Too. And actually, Dr. Montessori, originally in Italy, started with the children of the slums of Rome.
Okay.
And so what she did was, they were just street urchins. They would just be begging. They would be, they would just be living on the streets because they were handicapped people and they were just cast out. So she started working with them as part of her studies. Mm-hmm. And as she worked with them, what she found was that they can accomplish so much. And so she kind of adopted her studies to more mainstream children, and it just continued from there.
So she's working with these street children, which is, they're not disciplined.
No.
They don't know how to interact in a normal classroom.
No.
And so she was allowing them to take on some initiative, or what was it?
It was a lot of the children were actually, their parents had gone to work. So they were home alone all day long.
Okay.
And so she basically believed, and we believed, that a child, that they're part of a community. They're part of a family. They're part of a school community. They're part of a city community. And if you give them responsibilities, they naturally want to help. They naturally want to learn. They naturally want to feel like productive members of society. That's just how it is. And so she truly believed that if you are constantly doing something for a child, you are basically teaching them that they don't know how to do it, or they're not important enough to do it. So the idea is that you involve them. Something as simple as picking up them after themselves, helping
washing
with
the
dinner.
dishes.
It's a truly amazing way of learning, of teaching.
Okay, so paint a picture for me. How does that look? How does this look like in one of your classrooms?
It's so Dr. Montessori also believed that the school should look very similar to a house environment.
Oh,
so
okay.
when you come into our schools have a lot of lights, a lot of windows. It's very cozy feeling, very warm feeling. You're not going to see a bunch of desks laid out. You're going to see an area that looks similar to a kitchen. You're going to see an area that looks more like a living area, or an area where they can move around freely.
Okay.
It's the teachers, or they call them guides. We call them teachers, but originally Dr. Montessori called them guides.
Okay.
There is an adult in the classroom that is guiding. The environment the classroom is set up. It is a prepared environment set up for the child to work independently. And so it is. From the moment they get out of the car in the morning at carpool, they are working. We don't call it play, it's working, because she also believed that everything that they are doing is work. It's working to another to another developmental phase. So they will come out in the morning, they take their shoes off, they put their inside shoes on, they put their lunch away, they put their water away, and they immediately start working. And it can be in different areas of the class where the teacher is guiding constantly and encouraging to go to different things.
Okay.
They help prepare their own snack. They help we are licensed by the state of Texas, just like the other Montessori schools in town. So we do have certain requirements. For example, our little ones have to take naps.
Okay.
But they're part of that. They're part of getting their blankets, getting their nap mats. It's just a whole, like what you would think of at home.
Okay.
There's a mom or a dad at home, and we're all working together for one goal.
Okay.
Is what it's about. But then it's academics. It's a big academic.
How many kids are in one classroom?
It depends, because it is multi-age classrooms. So it depends. For example, at our Coronado location, I have a lead teacher with 2 assistants, and right now I have 18 students.
Okay.
And those are 18 months to 3 years old. So all of the classes are multi-age, similar to like siblings in a house. So you can have a little sister, a little brother, older sister, and they kind of work together cohesively.
Okay. And Steve, did I pick up that after lunch the kids wash their own dishes?
No,
I'm just trying to see if I picked up on that, or did I make that up?
No, but they can. They do help with the cleaning up, the chores. And in fact, this is one of her early classrooms was called the Children's House. It is when you hear the Children's House, that's the age of 3 to 6, and so they're all in the classroom together. Working together, like Jackie said, learning together, being a community and being together.
Okay. So you talked about the teachers. I assume there's, and you talked about being licensed. So how is it that the teachers are trained?
They go through a certification or a program. And so they actually go through an organization that is certified to teach them. There's one in Canada. There's one in California. There's several in the United States. And they go through a process, kind of like a teacher in a public school.
Okay.
They get certified.
So it's like the same length of program? Or?
It's a little bit.
Typically,
It could be 2 years.
Okay.
But what is so important about once you get the certification is working in a Montessori school and really
So you do like an apprenticeship?
You
or?
can be,
Yeah.
yes. You can
Okay.
be working under a master teacher
Okay.
for a while. It really takes a while to really gain the tips and the tricks of the trade, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
And so, how I like to describe our schools specifically is that it's kind of a West Coast version of a Montessori school. That's kind of where a lot of our experience and our training and the gardening and the cooking and the art activities and all those sorts of things. That's how we like to describe it. There's a variety of training entities and facilities. There's even one in Italy. There's a huge Montessori tradition in Mexico.
Okay.
A lot of our teachers have been trained there. So we take teachers from all these varieties of training facilities and work them all together. And of course, my mom's been and my mom started the business. She's been a Montessori teacher for 50 years, so
Wow.
she has a lot to add to the experience of the teachers and the feel and the style of the school.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So this has been so interesting. I forgot that we sometimes need to take breaks. We're with Steve and Jackie Filley of El Paso Montessori, Escuela Montessori del Valle. And if you have questions about Montessori, I do want to remind you that the KELP employee formerly known as Adrian the New Guy, a.k.a. Mac Daddy Del Norte, is running our YouTube stream. And if you find KELP Radio on YouTube, you can put your question there in the live chat. We will get to as many of those as possible. And we're going to be right back after this break. Do not touch that dial. 915 Talk is listener supported. If you believe that local Christian talk radio is important to our community, please take a moment to prayerfully consider taking part. For all donation options, including secure online giving, visit KELPradio.com and click on the Cornerstone Broadcasting link. Let's reach our neighbors in the borderland together.
915.
Testify.
I joined again at 12 years old. I got to find the Lord Jesus Christ in 2014 in a jail cell. He saved me. The way he saved me is that the DA gave me 7 years. And for me, that 7 years was the day of completion because God completed everything in 7 days. And I want to thank my wife because she's the one that left me at the altar to know Jesus Christ, for him to save me. So my wife is the one that said, you know what, God, I need you to help my husband. I need you to work on him. The Lord Jesus Christ worked on me through my prison sentence and everything. Went through a bunch of programs to learn more about Jesus Christ. And I know that I did bad things, but God is a loving God. I want you to know that there is a loving God, and he loves you no matter what you do in life. He's always going to be with you. No matter what you're doing, he's going to love you regardless. My name is Adrian de la Torre. I'm from the Northeast El Paso. He saved me from all that.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
And by the word of their testimony.
KELPradio.com.
And we're back with Steve and Jackie Filley. We're talking about Montessori education. During the break, we did have 915 testify, and Jackie asked a really good question. It was the testify of Adrian, a guy I consider to be a very good friend. He's formerly in the gangs. Not to be confused with Adrian, the new guy here at the station. No gang affiliation.
No,
with
I wondered. I thought I saw some colors over there, but I wasn't sure.
No, we're good. Mac Daddy Del Norte is just in the Lord's gang. That's the only gang he's ever been in. Yeah, so he's confirming that through the window.
Nice.
So we're good on that. I also do want to say 915 testify. We've been playing these 70-second testimonies of just how God's worked in different people's lives around the borderland. And I'm excited to say we're going to be adding some new this month, especially from young people. We're going to have some teenagers sharing their testimony. So keep your ears open, especially in February. But if you have a testimony, if God has done something in your life, which I hope is most of you listening to us right now here on KELP, El Paso's Christian radio station, call us at the station, 915-779-0016. ask for me. I would be happy to talk to you, and we find out if we can put your testimony on the air. Let's share what the Lord is doing. Let's not just be stuck in our own silos with our own miracles. Hearing these things is encouraging to the rest of the community. So that's 915 Testify. The other thing I do want to say is 915 Talk is listener supported. This airtime is covered by the giving of people just like you who are listening right now, who believe that it is important for us to learn about what's going on in El Paso. I do believe that the Christian community is very aware of what's happening nationally, but not locally. So that's part of why we have this show. So if you do want to support this type of programming, you can go to kelpradio.com and click on that Cornerstone Broadcasting link. And you can find out there how you can support what's happening here at the station. And I'm just going to say this on air. I'm thinking we need to go daily. Kenny on the board, what do you think? Should we have 915 Talk daily? What do you think?
Daily?
Yeah, well, Monday through Friday. I want to take my weekends off.
Yeah, but I work the weekends.
That's okay.
Okay.
You know, when we stand before the Lord, Jesus said, when we stand before him, we will just say we are but unprofitable slaves.
Okay.
Kenny's not sold.
I just know whatever jewels get in my crown are going to get cast before him.
Yes, there you go. So, well, you know, I lived in Russia for many years. You know what the churches say over there? We'll sleep when we get to heaven. Yeah.
Okay.
Kenny on the board.
I don't think we're going to sleep when we get to heaven. We're going to be too busy worshiping God.
You know what? You're right, Kenny on the board. You're absolutely right. So, but if you're excited about 915 Talk being not just one time a week, but multiple times, let us know. We would love that feedback. So we're back. We're with Steve and Jackie Filley. We've been talking about Montessori education. It turns out it all came from Dr. Maria Montessori. She was working with some, I'm going to summarize. Tell me how I do. She was working with some street urchins in Rome. This was many years ago. And she found out she needed to give those kids responsibility in life and in their own education. And that became the Montessori movement. There's now the El Paso Montessori School, which is now celebrating 50 years, started by Steve's mother, who's still there at the school, which is amazing. Very cool. I guess when I look at all of this, Jackie, you made a comment. You said the guide or the teacher in the classroom kind of helps the student. Maybe I'm going to paraphrase this, so correct me if I'm wrong. Sure. But it's like help them not get too focused on one thing. Is that what you said, or you're like you help them
guide them to where that she would like to see them work.
Okay.
Or
they're ready for.
Yeah, it's very interesting when you sit back and really observe and watch, because nowadays, you know, we back in the day there wasn't technology, you know.
Right.
So back in the day it was very different.
Right.
And so what we are seeing a lot of now is iPhones and iPads, and so we are seeing a lot more instant gratification coming in, and children are like that. So we are seeing it a little bit different now, where we are having to encourage them a little bit more to work in certain areas. Areas that we feel like either they need to work on, developing fine motor, concentration, all of those. Or we have talkers. So, you know, we have kids. They were talkers. Move them to another area where maybe they can work with a different material that's in a different part of the classroom to develop those concentration skills.
So what does that look like? Because like I just what I'm picturing is a student is super interested in coloring. But they need to be interested in something else, or like
it's so
paint a picture.
Okay, so a little one is going. I would have a parent years ago in our toddler class, so our first class, our littles, and she would say he just wants to do this puzzle every single time at home. Every day he picks that puzzle, he does it, and I said, let him. Let him, because
That's the way Kenny on the board is.
Yeah,
Every day he likes to do that same puzzle.
Yep, I get Kenny on the board. Same Kenny.
Maybe
on the
one
board.
day I'll finally finish it.
Well, he's perfecting his skill, is
Yes.
what Kenny is doing. He is gaining that confidence
Which
to
is
get
exactly
that puzzle
correct.
done.
Yes. It's what they're doing,
Right.
whether it's Kenny or whether it's the children, is
Right.
they are perfecting what they are mastering what they are working on, and they're obsessed with it. Dr. Montessori talked about sensitive periods, and there are times when children are uniquely drawn to certain activities.
Okay.
And so that is what we are trying to do, is take advantage of their sensitive periods and their interest, and to get them to focus on the things that they inherently want to focus on.
So what would an example of that be?
Our toddlers, it is a Maria Montessori believed in whole body learning.
Okay.
So your little ones, a 2-year-old, an 18-month-old, they don't really want to sit. They don't, and that's okay. They're moving around. So for them, they tend to gravitate more to a practical life area, or what we call a practical life, which is what you would think of like in your kitchen.
Okay.
So scooping or pouring, that's what they naturally want to do. So the idea is little moments of concentration. So they will go in, they will get there's materials on the shelves. So they will get, say, a grasping work, which is
Right.
basically can be 2 bowls with, say, pom-poms in them. And the idea is they're wanting to transfer, moving all of the items into one bowl to another using their hands, or they're grasping, and it's building the muscles in their hand. It's all whole body. Everything they're doing is whole body. And so they will go get the work, they will sit down, and they may not sit down right away. That's okay. The idea is that they're working on the work and they're transferring. So it's working that whole body. They're going to get into muscle memory. They're going to keep doing this. But that's what they're doing. Like Steve was saying, they're kind of perfecting it. So we don't go in and automatically move them or sit them or tell them how to do it right. We're watching them. We're watching what they're doing, because what they're doing is work.
Right.
It may not be perfect. It may not be exactly how it's supposed to be done, but they're obviously working something that they need.
Right.
And if they're standing, you have to think of a little 18-month-old. They're not comfortable sitting right then. A lot of times their little feet may not touch the ground, or I have that same problem sometimes. And so you just kind of watch them and observe, and you prepare the environment to their body building muscles, for their concentration skills to be developing, language in that class. I mean, everything is oral. We're talking constantly to them, explaining things. But at the same token, there's a balance. You're watching and you're guiding with a lot of body language.
Right.
So it's a science. It really is. It's a little bit tricky to explain until you really see, until you watch a class environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So this is what I'm concerned about with my child. No, I'm not going to send a child to Montessori. My youngest is a junior in high school. I'm going to be like, is my 3rd grader going to be a brain surgeon, but unable to do something like very normal? Like, are they just going to excel in one area, but not do well in another? So, from what I understand, you have up to 5th grade.
Up to 6th.
Up to 6th. Okay. So it's 18 months to 6th grade.
Yep, 18 months to
yeah.
6th.
So I don't know if you can answer this question, but how do your 6th graders do, like, on standardized testing?
Well, so with the elementary, it's a little bit more of a unique animal. And so what we do, we don't do testing. We don't do standardized testing. We are teaching children skills. We are they're doing the materials. They're working on those things. So we don't necessarily test. Now, what we find is that our children, as they move on to public schools, are ahead of where their peers are in the public schools because they enjoy learning.
Right.
It's not busy work. It's not desk work. It's not seat work. They just really enjoy the learning process.
Right.
So we don't worry too much about how they do on their standardized tests, and we've had children come back all those ages, and talking about their school experience and how this prepared them for their continuing education process.
Right.
Now, with that being said, we definitely, though, Montessori in their method of teaching or her method of teaching, all of those academics are built in.
Right.
So we're not saying the same thing that a toddler may be doing is the same thing a fifth grader.
Sure.
You're having math, you're having science, you're having culture, you're having reading, you're having language. So all of that is built in to the curriculum, and it just gets stronger and deeper as the child grows.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I'm curious to hear more of how sixth graders do when they go into public school or private school. But first, we have Charlie 1 on the line. Charlie 1, how you doing? Kenny on the board. Where's Charlie 1?
He should be there.
Where, Charlie 1, do you hear me? I hope he's okay. It's been snowy outside.
Andy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Charlie 1. How you doing?
Good, good. Traffic not so good because we have some crashes already working right now. I want to go to Northeast first, where we have Diana and Dyer on a crash. PD going to that, but they're not there yet. Busy intersection there in Northeast, Dyer and Diana.
Okay.
Let's go also to Central. Gateway South and Trowbridge, we have a crash. PD will be on that one. PD activity in the Valley. Zaragoza and Battelle on a crash. On the east side, the Montana on-ramp at Joe Battle, there we have a crash working. Where do we have stick traffic? I-10 East, Piedras, Torrenos, kind of tapping on the brakes right there.
Right.
Also, I-110 South, Alameda to the Juarez Port. CD lanes west and Mess on the west side. A little bit of struggling traffic right there. That's building up right there. And, Andy, that's the front of it right there.
Yeah, why is this happening, Charlie 1? All these crashes today. It's not the snow. The roads are dry.
You know, that's typical for a Friday afternoon. I've gotten, through the years, I've gotten kind of used to a Friday afternoon. I don't know what it is about Friday mania or something. You know, people in a rush to get here, to go there. And
or maybe they're not listening to us here at KELP 915 Talk. Who knows? Or maybe they're not listening to our traffic sponsor, AlamoGlassPros.com. Get that tinting on your windshield so that glare hits you in the evening. You don't miss what's happening in the road in front of you. How did Snowmageddon affect the traffic the past couple of days, Charlie 1?
Well, that of course, the last couple of days we've had those cloudy conditions, so
right.
You'd be kind of lucky in that respect. But today that sun's out. Sun's going down right now at about 5:30, so that's when you have to deal with that sun glare coming at you. If you go to the from downtown, from the east side to the west side, you turn that corner there downtown, and that's when you get that sun right in your eyes. So about 5:30, that's when it's going to happen right now.
5:30.
Yeah,
5:30. People need to remember to visit AlamoGlassPros.com. Really good people over there. Yeah, so Mac Daddy Del Norte was wanting to know what's going on with the Daily Menudo, Charlie 1.
We have Daily Menudo there at Mi Pueblito Cafe, 3120 Traywood. We have the Daily Menudo if you're on a diet or something. They have the vegetarian options, Mexican plates, seafood, of course, the restaurant available for special occasions. Mi Pueblito Cafe, 3120 Traywood, always with that Menudo right there, Andy.
Yeah, I love it, Charlie 1. I was just talking to someone today. They were like, I hear Charlie 1 talk every day about this restaurant. He took his whole family. And I think all of our listeners can his name's also Andy, just like me. We can follow Andy's example and visit that cafe, try out the Menudo. Appreciate you, Charlie 1. Always keep an eye on the roads for us.
Thank you, Andy, and drive safe.
Yes, sir. So we're back with Steve and Jackie Filley. So you live on the west side.
Yep.
Yeah. So. Sorry. Have you ever noticed you need to be careful of the sun in the evening? Does that ever hit your windshield?
Yeah. Coming down, when I go home, coming down Artcraft, heading down towards Upper Valley, that sun will just get you.
Right in your way. And in fact, our original school is on Sunset Road, and the reason it's on Sunset is if you go west on Sunset Road, you get the sun right in your face.
Yep.
And then you have to visit AlamoGlassPros.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Good
Absolutely.
people over there,
Good
Alamo
people.
Glass Pros. So because we're not going to have time for a second break, I do want to mention that this evening, the African Children's Choir, who I interviewed last Friday, will be at Cross Point Church. at 7 p.m. It's a free concert. Don't tell me there's nothing to do in El Paso. You have nothing better to do. Go to Cross Point Church at 7 p.m. tonight for the African Children's Choir. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, Caring Companions, caringcompanionsep.com. If you have aging parents who want to stay at home, visit caringcompanionsep.com, 915-307-6103. I know, listen, Mac Daddy Del Norte, listen to this. When I get old, I'm going to stay at home and just be really obnoxious to my kids. When they're obnoxious, that's what I tell them. But I want to stay at home, and I'll give them the number for Caring Companions, 915-307-6103. Also, I do want to say, stay listening to KELP after 915 Talk, because we have Pastor Terry Gray in Summons. It's one of my favorite programs. I love the fact that I get to listen to that every day on the way home. There's a man who breaks down the Bible. He was here on 915 Talk. He said the first time his church went through the Bible, it took him 15 years. Mm-hmm. So you're going to really get some great expository teaching every day at 5 p.m. here on KELP. So before we had our illuminating conversation with the one, the only Charlie One, we were talking about how do children from the Montessori school assimilate to public school or private school to a more traditional environment after they graduate from Montessori?
I'll take it from a parent point of view. We have 5 sons, and they all went through our schools. The hardest thing, I think, for them, I'll kind of take that part, was the testing. That was something really hard for them. The other part was wanting to move on, finding something pretty easy or pretty understandable and wanting to move on, but yet you had to wait for the whole class to finish. And then just not being able to have a freedom of movement. I have boys. Boys need to move. All children need to move. But I do believe that boys need to move a little bit more. And so that was a little tricky for them. As far as knowledge, wow. I mean, our boys think outside of the box. And not just our boys, our students, but I'm parent point of view. They are able to process through things. They have compassion. They have responsibilities. It's just a very different way. What I always like to say is Montessori is just not a way of teaching, it's a way of living. Mm-hmm. And that is something that you could see in our house for sure.
And that's really a good point that Jackie makes. The way of living. What I like to tell parents when they come see our school is that it is very similar. If you could homeschool your child, it is what you would do. And we take that very seriously, that it's a community, it's a family. It's not just you go and you get in the school, you get in class and you sit at the desk all day or go to different classes. It is what you would do as a parent. Right. How the children would learn without all the side issues that go on in other schools or public schools. It is very much like homeschooling your children.
Right.
That's what my mom did. She used to have, like I said, 15 children. Before she started building schools, she had 15 children in her garage here on the east side of El Paso. She was teaching them. Mm-hmm. And then we went from there. And so basically it's just an expansion of what you would do at home.
And what we've seen with those 6th graders that are moving on is we've laid that foundation. So we have laid the foundation of independence. We have laid the foundation of hardworking. Mm-hmm. Just think outside of the box.
Love of learning.
Love of learning. And so when they do transition, they are top of the class. They are the starters. Yeah. They are the ones that can communicate with adults pretty easily. They are the ones that you see that really don't hesitate in taking on challenges and wanting to problem solve and those are the ones that we are seeing that once they do go on, they are the leaders in their school community. They're going on to great engineering colleges. They're going on to really wonderful other second school type of environments.
Right. So this is probably a good way to segue. We have a question here from our KELP Radio YouTube page, as we are live on YouTube right now. Just talking about how some public schools are now attempting to replicate the Montessori method.
They are, which I think is tricky. I think what they're trying to do is, and I respect this totally, they're wanting everyone to be able to have a Montessori experience because Montessori is a private school where parents have to pay. The problem with that, in my mind, is they are run by the state, and when you do that, you have to. It's a school district. You have to do what the school district does. So at some point, they will be testing. They will be implementing, for example, their reading programs. Their reading program is not a Montessori reading program. It is actually a state-funded reading program. So it's very hard to duplicate what Dr. Montessori believed in a public setting. They, like Steve brought up a good point, the teachers, when our teachers are with the children, they're with them all day long. From the moment they come in, they have lunch with them. They are with them constantly. In the public school setting, they are with them, then they drop them off to the lunch, area, then they drop them off to a music class. They're not with them all day long. So they're kind of doing it not how we would think that a true, authentic Montessori school should be run.
Okay, so this hour is flying by. You serve 18 months to 6th grade. Are there Montessori high schools in the world?
There are. There's Montessori middle school and Montessori high schools.
Okay, but not here.
In El Paso.
I think there's a middle school in El Paso.
I think there is one other Montessori school that does a middle school.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, if a parent is listening right now and they are intrigued by what you're saying, well, let me say first of all, so we don't forget, how do they find you? Do you have a web page?
We do.
We started off this conversation learning that you two met each other on eharmony.com. So how will people meet the Montessori school? Not on eHarmony. What's
not
the
on
web page?
eHarmony.
Not on eHarmony.
So the best way is because a lot of our advertising, I'll be honest, is word of mouth.
Okay.
That's pretty much how people find us. But we have our website, and it's epmonessorischools.com.
Yes.
You can also check us out on Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook.com/Escuela Montessori or Facebook.com/Coronado Montessori.
Okay.
We also are on Instagram.
Okay.
You can also drive by and stop by at any point and
Snapchat,
check,
TikTok, everything.
Give us a phone call.
Give us a call.
Okay, what's your phone number?
Steve, because the Sunset School.
So Sunset is area code 915-584-9215.
And Coronado is 915-584-5073. My email is coronadomontessori@gmail.com. Steve's is Escuela Montessori del Valle @gmail.com.
Okay, that was a lot.
It was a lot.
We'll put a lot of those links on kelpradio.com.
Awesome.
Look for the 915 talk link, and then you see all of our past conversations and also the links to what we talked about. That'll be available tomorrow. So again, kelpradio.com. Look for the 915 talk link, and then you'll see all those links that we just discussed. But if a parent is listening right now and they're intrigued by what you said, we talked about the contact information, but why should a parent choose Montessori? Is there like a specific reason for a certain child, or do you think it's for all children? What is your view on that?
It really is for all children. It's my point of view is like I said earlier, it's a great way of learning for children. It creates a lifelong foundation for learning, and also, it's just. They can move. Again, we had 5 boys. They can move around. They can learn in areas that intrigue them, and so that is what I would ask a parent, is that if you could teach your children, this is what you would want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say definitely that it's if you're looking, I think you need to look nowadays. Steve and I talk about this a lot, that if I had to look now back at our boys, what would I do right now at this point? I would have kept them in the schools just like normal. And I'll be honest, middle school I would have homeschooled. Probably moved to a traditional or another setting in high school. But I think you need to pay attention to what your values are at home. Right. And I feel like Montessori really kind of covers that, because we take a lot of what they may be I don't know, that's in the world now. We're really kind of taking it back to basics. Like we're a patriotic school. I mean, we love the United States. That's kind of important to us, the history behind it. But I think also give them that love of learning.
Right.
Nowadays, I think when they go to school, it's so focused on testing and so focused on we've got to do this or we've got to do that or we need to do this for grants or and that love of learning is gone.
All the other side issues that go on. I mean, it's not just learning anymore for the children. And there's just all these, as I said, all these side issues that they're having to face.
Right.
And parents may not necessarily agree with those side issues.
Right.
And it's individualized. That is one thing. Looking at our 5 boys, they're different. They are. They're very different. So Montessori,
in a good way?
In a great way, like in a great way. But you could look at all of them, and Montessori was able to hit each one of them at where they were at and what they needed, where I just don't think a traditional way of teaching does that. I think they're trying to keep them all in one box or in one path, and whereas Montessori, it's a beautiful way of learning where it kind of encourages them and touches them on what they want to learn and what they're good at.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. So why do you do this?
Because I have to. No, I'm kidding. I'm married into it. I love it.
What motivates you? What sparks joy?
What sparks joy to me is being in a family business that has been here for 50 years and seeing the impact that we have had on our community. God is good is all I can say is the fact that we've been here for so long and seeing the second and third generations is mind-blowing to me that when they're coming back and saying we had such good memories and we want this for our children.
Yeah, that's great. After being around for 50 years,
Exactly.
You're saying multiple generations.
Yeah. Yep.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
We already have at both schools have had grandchildren that are children that are parents and then pushing on to grandchildren of some of our original families. It's been great to be able to reconnect or to maintain those relationships.
Love it. And last question, and we only have a couple minutes left. Both of you are people of faith. You're part of church community here in El Paso. So I'll ask this question. What would your dream or your prayer be for education in the borderland?
My prayer would be that it would go back to their family and they would learn to teach their children to lead their children in a way that honors God and that honors the country and that honors the borderland. There is so much here in El Paso, and we just need to be able to there's songs about the city and just to reconnect the city and the new city of El Paso or the like one of the missions at the church, the Sammy's mission. What is it?
Ciudad Nueva.
Ciudad Nueva, the
Yeah.
new city.
Right.
To make El Paso a new city and to be able to just reconnect all the families with their faith.
Love it.
Yep. I would say, bold. Mine's much simpler. Be bold in your faith.
Yep.
Love it.
Love it. Just be bold in your faith.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Steve and Jackie, for coming in today. We've had Steve and Jackie Filley of El Paso Montessori Schools. Visit epmontessorischools.com to learn more about what they're doing. Love hearing your heart for both education for children and for our city. And just as we say at the beginning of this program, the world is looking at El Paso. What will we in El Paso say to the world? And for all our past conversations on 915 Talk, visit KELPradio.com. Just look for that 915 Talk link. And as we always say at the end, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbor, and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk on KELP Christian Radio. To listen to past recordings of 915 Talk, just visit KELPradio.com and click on the 915 Talk link. Until next time, love your neighbor, love your city, and give God all the glory.